I picked up a paintbrush again and did my art and discovered that I really, really liked creating art just for me. And now I put that art out into the world and in front of companies and do art licensing. So my art goes on products such as gifts or books or plushies or home decor. And that's where I'm at now.
Yes, yes.
That's where I'm at now.
Welcome to the BDI Create Today podcast. This is a podcast where we uncover and discover the who, what, where, when, why, and how you can be creative or have more creativity. And together we'll explore the extraordinary impact creativity can have in your life, in heart, mind, body, and soul. And if we haven't met yet, I'm Beth Buffington, a licensed artist, digital illustration instructor, and a creative coach living just outside of the Windy City, Chicago. But mostly, I'm someone who is curious about how creativity can weave its way into nearly everything in our lives. Each week, we are going to look at one or more of the sparkly facets that make up the ever-changing kaleidoscope that is creativity. Welcome back, my friends, to another episode of Create Today with Beth Buffington. Today, I am bringing in another one of my fabulous creative guests to talk to you about creativity and how they do it. I have today Patty Iba. She's an amazing illustrator, and I have had the good fortune of having her as part of the Create Today community. She's here today to tell you about how she does her art, why she does her art, and how she keeps her art healthy. So Patty, I am so delighted to have you here on the podcast today to talk about creativity and how you see creativity through your beautiful eyes. So come in and introduce yourself and tell us who you are, where you are, and what you've been doing with your creativity.
Thank you so much, Beth, for having me on your podcast. I'm very honored. I came from a very creative family. I am the youngest of 7, so I have 4 engineer brothers and 2 sisters that are teachers, and my mom was a prolific maker, and my dad was an engineer entrepreneur. So I think it's in the genes. I grew up in the country, so I was making all the time, just out in nature, making things, and ended up, of course, loving art through school, and discovered in high school that putting pictures and words together is called graphic design. And that was really exciting for me because although I loved art, I didn't know what I was supposed to do with art. So graphic design sounded like, oh, you can make money doing that. So
Yep.
that's what I decided. That was my career, graphic design. And I went into that and I loved it for a long time. And then after a while, that kind of ended and I picked up a paintbrush again and did my art and discovered that I really, really liked creating art just for me. And now I put that art out into the world and in front of companies and do art licensing. So my art goes on products such as gifts or books or plushies or home decor. And that's where I'm at now. I recently signed with an agent to do the business side of the art because that's a big part of it. I love doing the art part and figured out that the business part was for somebody else to do. So
Yes, yes.
that's where I'm at now.
Great. We have some similarities, not with like the how large our family is, because I came from a fairly small family. I just have one brother, but lots of engineers in my family. And my mom was a teacher, and I see that so many of the engineers I know, they have this amazing creative streak in them. My dad has done woodworking, and my mom has been a prolific quilter. It just was never unusual to have some strange little creative project happening in the family.
So cool. Very similar to my family where,
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, to be an engineer, you have to be very creative because they're problem solving and you're
exactly.
always using your creativity to problem solve or to think. So I love following genetics and how my genes, of course, my two sons, one's an engineer and the other one is an artist or jewelry designer. So it always just filters through. It's in our genes. It's part of us.
I'm not surprised. Yeah,
Yep.
it's a super fun thing to watch.
Yeah.
So tell me, and for all the listeners that are out here, I always like to let people know just, how did you find Create today? And what made you decide that this was something that you thought might be helpful for your creativity?
Well, let's see. I think I met you at Art Biz Jam.
Art Biz Jam. Yes.
It is a great community or group of artists that get together and talk about the art business
Mhm.
related to art licensing. And you were thinking about teaching Procreate because you had taught others, at least online. That was right after, or right during the pandemic, I think.
Yes. Yeah. And it
But
was.
yeah, and I had my iPad and bought it specifically to learn Procreate, and I had Procreate, but I still hadn't put the two together yet. And so that was just perfect timing for you to say, "Who wants to learn how to use Procreate?" So I raised my hand. I think I was the one of the first people in your Procreate classes, which was awesome because that just leveled up my illustration abilities because Procreate's just so easy to use.
What I love about Procreate, every single student that has taken it, they learn by watching me do art on Procreate, but that's not what's important. Not learning how to draw like I draw, but learning how you can draw what you draw. That is my biggest thing is learn how to make your art with Procreate, not just follow my tutorials. And your artwork is extremely unique. And it's been great fun to watch how you've been adding Procreate to what you do.
Yeah, it's so much fun because I didn't want to give up my watercolor brush and my paints because I still love doing that.
Mhm.
But I also know how to use the computer and how to use my tablet, and I know how to do digital art as well from my graphic design experience. So I'm loving the journey of putting the two together where I do my watercolor art and then I put that into Procreate and I layer it with more digital art. And so want to try to keep both of them together and both of them are playing happily together and it's a journey. It's a lot of experimentation. So but it seems to be working.
Yeah,
And
that is one of the glories of Procreate is there's no rules.
yeah.
If it works for you, then that was a successful technique.
Uh-huh.
And you don't have to stop drawing or stop painting. You can figure out what you're going to do and not do with
Right.
Procreate and with your traditional art. But it's also a super easy way to give those digital files to your clients
Yes.
who that's what they need. Procreate's just so easy because you can do this non-destructive art that allows you to make changes so fast. Ah, so fun.
Yes. 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 So thank you for my Procreate lesson. But
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome.
because you taught such great Procreate lessons, I thought, well, Beth, she's a good one to keep in touch with because you're just really good at helping people strengthen their skills and helping people with their confidence too. So I enjoyed keeping in touch with you. You offered some workshops and classes for your Create Today groups and then a membership. So I went ahead and did that too. And that just keeps us in touch. And you have wonderful speakers that come on, and it keeps me going in the right direction. And it keeps me interacting with other like minded artists and people. And I learn so much. And it just keeps me on that road, on the right road.
Well, one of the things I have seen just with myself is that my artwork gets stronger and goes farther. And I feel more confident about what I'm doing when I have the chance to meet other people in the industry. The more creatives I can meet and get to know and make friends with, the happier I am with my creativity. And
Mhm.
so having an online community where we can have creatives come together and get to know each other and learn from each other is invaluable.
Yes, it is. It's very, very helpful to just keep in touch with each other. And it's not competitive at all either. Very, everybody's cheering each other on and supporting each other and inspiring each other. It's nice to have that community of artists. I also have another group that I'm close with, and we're just friends and we just keep each other accountable.
So, thinking about your creativity, when and how did you discover that your passion for creativity was more than just graphic design, more than just doing something for someone else? I know I used to always say with my graphic design that they didn't really want my head. They just wanted to take my wrist and have me do a layout for them.
Yes.
So how did you find out that your passion wasn't strictly graphic design? And then what did you do about it?
As you know, and as a previous graphic designer, like you just said, you're being creative for these companies or these businesses. And I did that for a long time, 20 years or so. And I got to a point where a few things happened and I was depressed. There were some losses in my family, and just working was just, it just got really boring and just really technical. And I couldn't figure out what was wrong for a while. But I knew something inside of me was, it just wasn't right. And so what I ended up doing was I picked up a paintbrush.
Mhm.
And all this time as a graphic designer, you're mostly sitting at a computer.
Yep.
So I really was sick of the computer. And so I picked up a paintbrush and I just started to paint, and I took some painting classes. And then something deep inside just kind of bubbled up and came out. And it was just so much fun to create something that I wanted to create for myself. And it wasn't for any company, it wasn't for a business, it wasn't to follow a project. And it just took off from there. I just painted whatever I wanted and whatever I felt like. And I found a new passion. And it gave me a realization that all this time that I thought I was being creative for other companies, I was being creative, but just for them.
Yeah.
I was just figuring out answers for their problems. And it wasn't anything, even if I tried to make it nice looking, of course, they'd say, no, that needs more white space, or no, change that font. No.
Or there's too much white space.
Oh, yeah, that's what I meant. It was opposite. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, that's too much white space. Fill it with this and
Fill it
fill
with
it
all
with
this
that.
stuff. Can't we put
Yeah.
another logo there? Or
Exactly.
like, oh,
Exactly.
stop
And
it.
to make that, yeah. So, so of course you do it because, well, that's what they want. But yeah, it gets pretty stifling. So yeah, and once I started creating pictures and illustrations for myself, which I also realized, oh, that was the fun part that I liked about graphic design, was whenever I had to make a little drawing or something, a little graphic on the side, that's the best part. Oh, that's what I really like to do. So that's how I basically found my passion, came from that. Now that's all I do is art. For me is what I say, not for anybody else. And
Yeah.
hopefully other people will like it.
And what you find as a licensed artist is that when you do your own work, there are other people out there that look at your work and say, I need that. And
Yeah.
it is important for you then to know that there are people out there needing what your brain is bubbling out with.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, good on you for realizing you had something to share that was more than what kind of magazine advertisement can I do for you today? And
Right.
this was where you needed to go and serve.
Yeah, I really try to focus on the process.
Mm-hmm.
And if I feel good about what I'm making, then usually it's more successful as a piece of art that I'm putting out in front of somebody else. So I really try not to worry about the end product or how it's going to look or what it's going to be on. I just try to create what I want to create and do it for fun.
And now for a word from our sponsor. And that's me. The holidays, my friend, they're just around the corner. So do something you love for yourself. Gift yourself a little something, something. Learn to draw on your iPad with Procreate, but do it festively. Sign up for the super fun December workshop where we're going to learn to draw delicious Christmas cookies and then prepare them to be printed as gift tags to use for all the presents you'll be wrapping this holiday season. There are so many great reasons you'll love this workshop. So hop on over to www.bdi-create.today and under menu up at the top right, choose events. And you can also find a live link to register for the workshop here in the show notes. So come and join me for a delicious event. It's calorie-free and it's a wonderful way to have some fun while you learn how easy it is to create with Procreate. I cannot wait to mix up some delicious cookies with you as we create today together. So let me ask you, what, as a creative who is making your own art, talk to me about some creative rituals that you have that keep you focused. And then tell us a little bit about how are you getting yourself ready so that you're strong enough to create the art that you need to emit.
So for my creativity to flourish and come out, I guess, I really have to just clear my brain. And I basically try to keep myself as physically healthy and mentally healthy as possible. And that seems to help my brain and help my creativity come out. First of all, I like to get a lot of sleep. Physically and mentally, that's good for my body. And luckily, I love to sleep. When I was a little kid, my brothers would get mad at me because I wasn't waking up and at Christmas morning. So I'm the one who liked to sleep. But even now, I wake up pretty slow and I stretch. I do a little bit of yoga and stretching just to wake my body up. And then for my mind, I go outside on my patio when it's nice because I live in Southern California. So it's usually pretty nice. And I have a either healthy smoothie with me or oatmeal, something like that. And I sit outside and I say hello to the day. I look at the big blue sky and I listen to the birds and I look at all the colorful flowers and I just am in the moment. I'm in the present and I'm just thankful for that day and for the clean air that I'm breathing. And it sounds a little silly, but that's just the way I do it. Everybody does it differently, but that's the way I clear my head and I start my day, and it sets me up just for whatever's going to come. So I really just erase my brain and am in the moment. And I'm thankful for whatever I have. So that helps my mind, I think. Another way I also just clear my head is I go to the gym or I exercise a lot, whether that's a nice long walk or my favorite is just to go to the gym and do some like jazzercise or body pump. And for that hour, I'm working physically on keeping my body healthy, but my mind is also just shut off. It's just listening to the teacher and figuring out what I need to do and trying to stay coordinated. so, so, so I'm not thinking about work or anything, bills I need to pay, whatever. I just erase my brain again. I think what that does, at least for me, it clears space in my head for those creative thoughts to swirl around and grow and figure things out. And so when I do need my creativity, then my brain's not cluttered with any negative thoughts or anything to distract me. I'm just in my own little world. But hey, it works for me.
That's all such good advice to share, Patty. And for people that are listen to the Create Today podcast, the thing I say over and over is that creativity is as important as getting good sleep and having good nutrition and getting exercise. And they all fuel each other too. If you are eating well, you have more energy so that you can exercise. And if you're exercising, that's going to help you sleep because you've actually depleted your energy for the day. And then your body's ready to rest.
Yeah.
And because you're doing all of those things, it allows your head to clear. And then when it is time to be creative, you are energized, you're well rested, and then creativity flows smoother. And I think you just said that so well, that those things all work so importantly together.
Yeah, yeah. It's a balance of all of those. I've really just concentrated on my mindset and staying healthy for a long time. It doesn't happen overnight, but but the more I practice it, the better I get, the better I feel, and the more creative I've been. And this is the most creative I've been in my whole life. And it's just getting more and more and more. So, and I thank you because your speakers that you have come on and just the words that you say, it's very helpful. And again, I thank my creative community that I keep in touch with. It it just keeps me going in the right direction.
Yes, we have a lot of speakers that come in to talk to the Create Today membership about so many different things, not just like how to draw better. It's
Yeah, right.
Lisa Murphy who comes in to talk about a healthy aging, and she talks a lot about nutrition and exercise and getting good rest. And those things are all very important to grow your creativity. And if you're someone that's thinking, I don't move very much, or whoa, I could eat better. You don't think that overnight you can just flip that coin and suddenly be going to the gym 5 days a week. Start slow and make it something that you look at and build up slowly. So introduce some better foods, maybe some more vegetables or some more fruits in your life. Maybe to go start taking a walk every day. What little shifts can you make? And those little shifts are going to really make a big difference in how your creativity is going to blossom just with little changes.
Oh yeah, yeah. I look at it as little steps.
Mm-hmm.
I think, yeah, at least you're taking a step too. It's better than no steps.
Yes,
So,
right.
little steps are great.
Yep. My husband is an Uber athlete, and he constantly talks about that. If you think you're going to suddenly put on some tennis shoes and go run a marathon, you're sadly mistaken. And his phrase is ramp it up slowly. And it's the same thing with getting your creativity. If you're feeling a little bit blocked, take a look at all the different pieces of your life that Patty's just talked about and see what maybe you could do to get a little more sleep or to get a little more exercise or to eat just a little bit better, just a little bit, and then see how that's going to affect the blockage that you might have with your creativity. You'll probably see some changes faster than you thought you would.
Yeah.
So I think getting balance is important. So do you have any tips that you can give someone about what you're doing to maintain that balance, Patty?
Well, you can't be creative and happy 24 hours a day. So what I try to do in the mornings, I find that that's when my head is most open and free and has the best ideas. So that's when I try to, if I'm not already working on a project that I need to get done, then I will actually just sit down and grab a pencil or a paintbrush and actually doodle or create some little flower or just whatever I feel like creating. Or sometimes it's just a blob. And I like to mix up colors and see what the colors do. And mainly I do that again to just kind of feed my creativity and create something from my imagination. It's very intuitive, and it also keeps my hand in practice as far as if I don't touch my tools in a long while, then the next time I pick them up, then it takes a little while to get warmed up.
Yeah.
So
Working with your creativity is a lot like exercise. If you're a really good runner, if you've not run for a week or two and you go out and run a long ways, you're going to be so sore the next day.
Right,
And
right.
it's the same thing with your creativity. You'll sit down and think, okay, today I'm just going to make this great masterpiece. Maybe not, maybe today
Yeah.
you just need to do some doodling.
Mhm.
That kind of creative play often will lead to those great masterpieces. And
Mhm.
it's that creative play that is strengthening the way you think and build your creativity.
Yeah, yeah. So that's what I try to do every morning. It doesn't have to be a masterpiece. It's just something.
Look
And
at
again, sometimes it's just a feeling, I'm not worried about the end result. I don't, that's why it's just a blob. It's just a feeling. I just want to feel the mushy paint on my paper and stuff like that. So
yes. Yeah.
that helps. So once I get done with that, again, that usually happens in the morning. And then in the afternoons is when I actually sit at my computer and get just the more what I call boring and mundane stuff done. Clean up a file or clean up an illustration or maybe send out some emails that I'll do in the afternoon. And so I guess I'm kind of compartmentalizing.
Knowing when your brain is strong in an area is important. Like if you're feeling most creative in the morning, that's not the time to pay bills. And
Right,
if
right.
you are flagging in the afternoon and you have trouble even drawing a straight line, that's probably not the time to brainstorm new ideas. And
Exactly.
so you have to kind of know yourself. And also, there are lots of creatives who they can't be creative until they feel the crunch of a deadline. They have to almost create that sense of urgency, even if there isn't a deadline yet.
Mm.
Knowing who you are and how you need to structure the way you do your creativity or when you do it, that's genius. Stop and think about that for yourself. When am I feeling creative? When do I need to be a little more techie or geeky? But
Mhm.
when do I need to just let my brain play with color?
Right. Right. Yeah. Or when I do turn my creativity off and I just need to do that routine stuff, what I found is helpful is to have a system or a process for that creative stuff. Let's say, for instance, I've developed a group of work, a group of art, a collection, and it's beautiful, but it's a mess. It's a hot mess. It's just everywhere. So I've figured out a system, a process where I know what to do with that mess and how to at least organize it and put it in a organized manner so that I can finally pitch it out and make it look good, which I have a template for how it's supposed to look, and it doesn't take too much creativity. It's just a process in my
Yeah.
system. And I just do that again when my brain's not in that creative mode. It's if I have that system already set up, then that it helps. It's more productive. Yeah.
Yeah, big difference. So having that balance is really important. So let's talking about moving from creativity into something that actually becomes a project. Do you have a project that you want to talk about to just to let people know what you've been working on?
Yeah. So when I have a seed of an idea, I I try to grab hold of it and I just hang on to it and I try to run with it and play with it. And um, Elizabeth Gilbert in her big magic book, she explains this really well, where you just have to hold on because it's fleeting. It's a fleeting idea. It might go away. So I try to hold on to that idea. And after one of our Art Biz Jam conferences, it happened to be at Demdeco. This was last year. I was very inspired by the artists that were there and Demdeco. They have a lift the spirit mentality, which I really like. And lifting the spirit, that involves a lot of emotions. When you give something to somebody, you make them happy because they were sad. Or, anyways, lifting the spirit involves a lot of emotions. I had a seed of an idea after that conference, and it was actually even on the plane. And I was trying to connect the dots. Well, emotions are a big thing. My little grandniece, she's super cute, but she's 3 and she was having a big problem learning her emotions and dealing with her emotions. And then I was thinking of my youngest son. He wears his heart on his sleeve. I can always tell how he's feeling. And so I had emotions swirling around in my head, and I was trying to figure out, how do I find something that would help understand these emotions. And my other son, I ended up asking him, what's an animal that has a lot of emotions? And he came up with an octopus. I said, oh, an octopus. And I just thought that was a brilliant little animal. So I put emotions and the octopus together, and Emo, the little octopus with big emotions, was born. And so I ran with that idea and drew him up how I imagined him. And he wears a little t-shirt with the different emotions on each sleeve, so that you can turn up the little sleeve and it'll show what emotion he's feeling, whether it's happy or angry or sad or proud. Anyways, I ended up pitching this idea to Demdeco, and they loved it. And so I'm just really happy that they're going to develop, or they have developed Emo. He will be out to the public in January. And he also comes with a little board book that I illustrated. And the board book introduces Emo and his emotions. And I think it's just a great product, especially for right now, where the emotional well-being of people is forefront and mental awareness is big. And I think Emo will be great for little kids as well as adults, or anybody who just needs a little friend to understand their emotions.
I
So
love that so much. This is such a timely product. And what a wonderful way to illustrate that so gently and understandably to children. And then to be able to share it with the people around the world that need this kind of little octopus in their world. So the creativity that you took to get this thought of and then illustrated and then to pitch it, I'm so proud of you. It's so exciting. I'm going to be in Atlanta in January, and I want to come to Demdeco with you so you can show me your
oh,
little octopus, because I'm pretty sure it's going to be in the showroom in
yes,
January. Yes.
that's why I'm going, is to see Emo. And yeah, I'm really excited about him. And he came from my heart and from all of those little things that were in my head. And yeah, to team up with Demdeco was just a dream, because they're the exact right company to do Emo. So I
Yes.
can't wait to see him in January.
So excited for this project to come to fruition and then see where it goes next, because I think it has good legs.
Lots of legs. Yeah. And again, it was the process that I just loved, and the imagination and the play. It had all the good magic, all the big magic.
I know that when you were talking to me about this, that when you thought of the idea, that it was like you couldn't draw and sketch and write about it quickly enough because it just flowed from you. So you knew that this was something that needed to see the light of day and needed to be shared with others. And I think that's the thing I love about all my creative friends, is just watching the ideas they come up with and then watching them get it ready to get where it needs to go. I love hearing about the stories and then watching the stories come to life. It is so exciting. So
Yeah.
I'm so excited for you.
And honestly, I couldn't have done it without knowing how to do Procreate, because it was all done on Procreate. So, I had
Yay!
to sketch so fast, and I just picked up this pencil and that color. So yeah.
Well,
It
and
was
I'm sure that it was a very easy way for you to share your artwork with Demdeco, because when you're working in Procreate, your artwork is already digital. So it's an easy way to share it with clients and anyone that needs to see your art as you're pitching. So yay for Procreate.
yay. Yeah. If the win for Procreate there.
A huge win. A huge So with this wonderful story that you have to share, I mean, this is such a success story to go from, I have an iPad, I wonder what I could do with it. I mean, when I first talked to you about Procreate, I remember you saying, oh yeah, I bought an iPad so I could learn Procreate. And I bought it months ago and I still haven't learned it yet. And then going from that to what you're doing now, I mean, seriously, it's only been when you pitched your project to Demdeco, maybe you've been working with Procreate for a year or so ish. What I want you to do is for creatives out there who are thinking, I have ideas. I wonder how could I get my ideas out into the world? What kind of advice do you have for creatives?
I think the most important thing is staying healthy. I mean, healthy in your mind and your body. If you're hurting somewhere in your body, then your mind's screaming, ouch, and that's really all you think about. It's tougher to pull that out. So if my mind and my body are good, then I don't have anything to worry about. I let my creativity flow. I know it's hard. Everybody's in a different position, but like you said, little steps to help keep your mind happy and your body happy. I think that's probably the most important. Um, Next, I think would be to let yourself play. Um, Again, that's freeing your mind, but if your mind is free, then your brain can play and creativity can come out, and it kind of works both ways. We talked about balance. Sometimes you just got to make something and then realize that, oh, it is creative, and that helps your confidence.
Right. Yeah.
And it works both ways. You just got to give it a try. Just try something. Like when I picked up a paintbrush, I didn't know what to expect. Don't expect anything. Don't expect a great masterpiece or anything. Just play.
Yeah.
Just exercise your creativity, I guess.
I think something else you said that is super important is that when you have an idea, to get it down, don't wait. Otherwise, all you have is you had a good idea, but now you don't remember what it is.
Right.
So when you catch that idea, get it down in some form. If it's doing some sketches or it's writing some notes to yourself, get that idea down so that you can get back to it when you can sit down and really flush out what this is going to turn into.
Mm-hmm.
Because masterpieces start off as just a little flicker in your head, and you want to catch it and get it written down somewhere so that you can go in later and really develop it.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. And hopefully your brain is clear enough where that idea can grow and swirl around in your head and catch on to other things. And it just keeps growing and gets bigger and bigger and better and better.
Yeah. Because your idea for emo happened on the plane ride home.
Yeah. Yeah. That's when it started. Yeah. I knew I wanted to do something about emotions. And again, I was thinking about my niece. I was thinking about my son. I needed that some special little animal to help me. But that all started on the plane ride home from Art Biz Jam. And then it only took me, I think, 2 or 3 days to pull it all together. And then I pitched it to Demdeco the following weeks. Yeah, it was definitely something I grabbed onto and I swirled around in my head and I got it out on paper and
Oh,
yeah,
get it
off
down.
it went.
Just get it
Yeah.
down. So I love how you've given advice from how to take care of yourself. If you are not kind to yourself, how can you allow your creativity to be what what its possibilities are? It's like driving a car, you fill it with gas, you clean it, you change the tires, you make sure the windshield wipers are working. It's the same thing for your own creative self. You've got to take care of that engine. You got to keep it energized and healthy, and you got to have good nutrition and exercise and sleep. And then it's going to perform to its best abilities. So what you've been doing is taking care of your creative engine. And now you're able to take these amazing journeys and know that you're capable of starting the trip and getting to your destination. because of what you've been able to do for yourself with taking care of your body and finding a creative community and learning new things and then practicing what you've learned and staying in tune with your ideas. All that just kind of flows together and just like stirring cream into coffee.
Yep, yep, yeah. And again, it's the process that I really try to keep in mind, and as long as I'm enjoying making whatever I'm making, I'm enjoying creating it, then it's all good. That's success to me. That was my goal, was just to be creative and enjoy what I like to create. And the end result and who ends up with this art, that's all gravy, really. I mean, yeah, I love to see it on all kinds of products and everything, but really the main point is that I enjoy the process of creativity. And
Yeah.
that's a little selfish, but that's just each one of us can be selfish and show our creativity, and it all adds up to great stuff in the
Well,
world of art.
I think when you're selfish about how and what you're creating, but the selfishness goes away when you are brave enough to release your art and get it out into the world. And then it's serving a purpose and it's helping other people to learn things, decorate their house, help them function. So many good things that this creativity can become because you were selfish in the beginning and you took care of yourself, right? So selfish, but not really.
Yeah, whatever I share, if everybody else likes it, then great. But that's not my main goal.
Yeah, I think really at the heart of it all, any creative that you talk to that has had success in a project that they've worked on, especially a pet project,
Mhm.
it was something that they didn't really feel like they had a choice. It needed to get out of their head and
Right.
it needed to get into whatever that thought was and become a thing. And then when you're done, you're like, I have this thing. I hope somebody wants it.
Yeah.
And sometimes the thing you made doesn't see the light of day, but you
Uh-huh.
need to be just as happy with the birth of that project as you do with a project that just soars into,
Mhm.
being famous and everybody wants it.
Yeah.
And that you need to feel that same sense of completion and pride of ownership over both those projects.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, a successful project to me is something that just I couldn't keep in. It had to come out, and it's beautiful, and it came out the way I wanted to. Yeah, I don't know if I mentioned, but I'm an intuitive artist, I decided. And what I mean by that is I just do what I feel, and whatever comes out, whatever technique I can use, and I don't really have a good idea of the end product. So I don't really know what it's going to look like. That's why I'm just intuitive. I just do it. And whatever comes out, comes out. And I'm often surprised by the end result because sometimes it sort of looks like what I wanted it to, but a lot of times it doesn't. And I'm fine with that. So that's what came out. So,
Yep. Yeah.
uh,
No, that's a fine way to be creative. If you force something, you won't end up with what's really in your heart. And sometimes your heart knows more than your head does. And
right.
just letting your hand create whatever is bubbling up at that moment. And eventually you'll look down and go, hey, I just drew a thing. Look at this. And then your head can take over and go, you know what? I've got a great idea. I have a sentiment that might go with that. And then you can get a little more geeky with it and figure out where that might go as far as a company and how to further that along. But just to let the idea out, even if you don't know what it is, that's exciting.
Yeah, yeah. I think one of my favorite quotes is from Albert Einstein, and it's creativity is intelligence having fun.
Yep. Yeah.
So, so hopefully I'm intelligent up there, and I just let it come out. Just let it play, let it have fun. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So really the takeaway today is look at your creativity. How can you have fun with it today? And then how can you take care of it by taking care of yourself? And if you're one of those people that is so busy taking care of everyone else in your world and you're last, but you're thinking, I wish I could sit down in the evenings and do a craft or work on some knitting or do a painting or a drawing, but I just don't have it in me. It might be because you haven't taken care of yourself. You haven't been as kind to you as you need to be. So what might you be able to do to be a little kinder for yourself? Be a little selfish with how you're taking time in your day to fill those buckets, and then watch your creativity grow from there. Be interesting to see.
Mhm. Yeah, even if you have just a few minutes while you're sitting in the car waiting for your kids to come out of school or something, just work on your own mindset, try to
Mhm.
clear your mind.
Oh,
Don't pick up your phone.
turn off your phone.
Turn
Yes.
off your phone. Yeah, and again, I don't have those little kids to occupy my entire day anymore. They're all grown and on their own. So it is easier for me now to do what I'm doing. But it is a culmination of all those little steps because I've been
Mhm.
trying to do this all along. And now I really am able to do it 100%, be creative and do whatever I want and not worry. So I know it is harder when you're at a different stage in life.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, just play.
Just play, have some fun. So, Patty, it has just been so much fun talking with you today. I am so thankful that you came so we could share our conversational goodness with everyone that is joining us today here on the podcast. So, if people want to know a little bit more about you, how can they find you out in this wide world?
So I am on Instagram and Facebook, and I have an Etsy shop and I have a website, and all of those are pretty much labeled Patty Iba
Yes.
art.com. So sometimes there's a dash or a dot, but Patty Iba dash art or Patty Iba dot art or just Patty Iba art.
And
You can
that's
find
Patty with a Y and Iba, IBA.
correct.
Yeah. So if you're looking for Patty as we are finishing up our chat here, that is how you'll be able to search her. I will also have all of Patty's information in the show notes. So you'll be able to find some live links to see her Instagram or get to her portfolio or learn more about her in any way that you're curious. So look to the show notes for that. But Patty, you've been a delight. Thank you so much for taking some time out of your creative day to come and share with the creatives that will be tuning in to listen to this episode today. So, everyone, take a moment to take a look at your own balance. What are you doing to make sure that your creativity is as healthy as it can be? Do you need to do something with your nutrition? Do you need to do some resting? Need a nap? Do you need to get out and take a walk or get to the gym? What might you need to do so that your creativity can be ready to really rocket to whatever its potentials might be? Take a look and see what you need to do to get some balance in your creative life. No matter where you are or how balanced you happen to be today, whatever you do, always take time to stay creative, my friend. We'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye. And now let's take a little break from our sponsor. And as you know, that would be me. If you loved today's creative conversation and you're craving to discover your own Procreate knowledge, consider learning more about this powerful illustration software, Procreate. Inside Create.today, you are going to find tutorials, guides, and online courses that will perfectly fit where you should go next with your Procreate adventure. If you really want to understand Procreate, register today for Learn the Art of Procreate. Inside my online course, you will enjoy fun and easy to learn lessons. You'll learn Procreate from the basic tools to the advanced techniques. And if you'd like to not only learn Procreate, but also figure out how you can harness all this digital knowledge to move forward with your creative business or a creative side hustle? Consider joining the Create.today membership. Inside the membership, you'll be able to map your next best step to the goals that will take you to your chosen creative destination. And if you're not sure what your next right step should be, consider setting up a free consultation with me, and we can determine the resources that would be best for the season of creativity that you're in right now. Are you ready to make your next right step? Go to www.bdi-create.today and you can find the resources, the workshops, the tutorials, the online courses, or the consultation that you need to set your creativity on fire, whatever or wherever you decide to proceed with your creativity. Just remember to stay creative, my friend.